What's going on, you guys? Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to the Dre Area Sports Show. I'm joined by Dre Day 49. Dre, what's up, man?
What's up, Andre? How's it going, man?
Great. Absolutely phenomenal. And I'm also joined by, well, it was Niner Dan. Now it's down to just Daniel. What's going on, man?
What's up, Daniel?
Well, it's going to be called Giant Dan pretty soon here.
Giant Dan.
I'm sticking with the teams right now.
Right, exactly. And you can see we've switched up the background to be a little bit more Bay Area centric. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by becoming a member by down below in the description. It'll say join this channel. That's how you become a member of the Nicotina Show and all of its network of shows, which is the Dre Area Sports Show, Beyond the Unknown, which I'll be getting that going later on this month, and of course the main channel, which is Nicotina, which you cover all pop culture, movie news, and comic book movie news as well. Or you become a Patreon as well. Both the links are down below in the description. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel, no matter what channel you're watching on, if you're watching on Dre Area Sports or if you're watching on Nicotina. Now, we push further into the offseason. Now, we know that, for me at least, and I think I can say the same for you guys as well, this is really an exciting offseason for the 49ers because there's a lot of things that can happen. And for me personally, I think that a lot of good things are going to come from this offseason. Monday starts free agency, and that's when a frenzy of moves is bound to happen, especially come midnight. Actually, you know what? I don't even know if it starts on midnight, but I know on Monday we're going to hear a lot of news about different players moving on to new teams. The player that I think the Niners need to capitalize on immediately is Azeez Al-Shaair. I think you bring him back as your second linebacker with Greenlaw out, and then when Greenlaw comes back, you have three linebackers that are dominant against the run, and I think that's really going to mess a lot of shit up for a lot of teams, especially as we get closer to the postseason. When it comes to free agency, guys, what do you think the Niners should do? Dre, let's start with you.
Free agency. You could go one of two ways. You look internally to bring some of these, restricted and unrestricted free agents back. Probably not everybody's going to come back. Obviously, they're going to be looking for other opportunities, maybe other opportunities to start. I think we got to go with the offensive line. I think we need a little bit more protection for Brock Purdy this upcoming season. I think you could obviously look to free agency. There's a few guys in the top 15 that come to mind. And then also you could look to the draft for that support. But I think in free agency, I think you do need to potentially also look for some playmakers. You already alluded to one, Azeez Al-Shaair, Chris Jones, obviously the top of the board. I don't know if you technically really see the Niners going for another defensive tackle right off the bat. I think there's other areas for them to address before that. I think we're still very deep on the defensive line. But I think you look internally to bring guys like Brandon Ayuk back and some of those other guys, Juwan Jennings. Look internally first. I think you need to keep the core of this team around the team camaraderie. Everybody I know has a very, very extra sour taste in their mouth after, again, getting to the very end of that Super Bowl loss. The results, weren't what anybody wanted. They're going to be hungry this year. I think the best thing and the best option in free agency is look internally to bring your guys back first and foremost.
So, I mean, looking at these free agents before we get to Daniel, I mean, the one that sticks out the most is Chris Jones. Yes, he's 30, but if they were able to get this guy, holy shit, this would be huge. Imagine having Chris Jones and then having Javon Hargrave next to him, who's due for a bounce-back season, and then Nick Bosa, and then whoever you put at defensive end. And at that point, if you sign someone like Chris Jones, maybe – Chase Young comes back for a 1-year deal, kind of a prove-it deal to stay with the Niners, and that'd be a formidable front four. Daniel, what do you think about these free agents, and is there anyone in particular that you think that we should go after?
Well, can you scroll down a little bit? I mean, my initial thought, honestly, was internal. Like, let's get
Christian
Ayuk squared
Wilkinson.
away.
Yeah, another defensive tackle.
Yeah, I
seen
like
what we
Hunter
wanna
too.
do.
Hunter's a really
Edge
badass.
offense.
Yeah, Danielle Hunter.
Edge.
Maybe
Yeah,
if
he's
Chase
really
doesn't come
good.
back, maybe you look to him.
Yeah,
'Cause
but
that's- I mean,
I
go ahead.
would say Ayuk, get the Ayuk thing straightened out first.
Well, he still has one more year on his contract, so you could start the talks, but you don't have to jump right into a contract until after this year. You know what I mean? So this is his last year.
I think we're talking about. I thought was he restricted or unrestricted? He's under contract or
he's under contract, but
he's on his rookie contract right now.
So he's looking for an extension.
Yes. But it sounds like they want to do the extension, but they haven't really gotten in deep into talks with him yet. But I think that what they're going to do is they're going to look at all their options leading into the draft and into free agency. I don't think they're going to go out and sign a receiver, because at this point it's like, why go out and sign a receiver when you got one who wants an extension, who's probably would be one of the top receivers out there if he was a free agent.
Yeah.
So I think unless you can land on one in the draft, I think this is the guy. Ayuk is somebody you have to re-sign. To an extension, that is.
Yeah.
Well, absolutely. I mean, look at that Niner offense last season, and that was with Ayuk having his best year as a pro. So you want to keep that momentum going. So it'd be great to see Ayuk back. Even seeing Chase Young, like you talked about,
Fuller,
Andre,
cornerback.
just getting him back on a 1 year prove-it contract, I think is just a plus for both parties. So, I mean, ideally, that's what I would look at, first and foremost is seeing who we have that we can re-sign or get the extension going.
I mean, like Patrick Queen would be amazing, but he's going to command top dollar. I mean, this is a really good linebacker in Patrick Queen.
He is a good linebacker.
He's only 25. There's no way.
Leading tackler for a lot of his career.
Yeah.
The guy's just a tackling machine. I think that'd probably be a little bit far-fetched getting a guy of that caliber, but
I think Baker Mayfield's going to go back to Tampa Bay. I mean, I don't see any reason why they would want to not bring him back at this point. Derrick Henry, holy shit. That guy's huge.
Bringing back the offensive line issue, I think somebody that they could look to is Mike Onwenu from the offensive guard from the Patriots. Now, he's really versatile.
Yes.
He found his ideal position last year, flourishing for the Patriots, starting at right tackle last season. He's reliable. Obviously, we struggled on the right side with McKivitz. That's maybe somebody that could potentially replace McKivitz. I mean, he's in the top 10 right now. I mean, that's somebody that can definitely protect Brock Purdy's, the right side of the line. And then also very versatile. You can move him around too.
Yeah.
That's somebody to maybe look out for.
No, and I think he would be an excellent acquisition for the offensive line. You have to find a way to really protect Brock Purdy. And that was the biggest problem that we had going into this. I mean, in the Super Bowl, is that on those key third downs, they got pressure onto Purdy, and the line was unable to, block for Brock, and that cost us the game. We got Felix saying, "What's up? What's up?"
Hey, Felix.
Hey, what's up, Felix?
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That's the one. A lot of the images and a lot of the scarring from the game. You remember Brock Purdy just not
scar
having
tissue,
scarring,
scarring. Jesus.
A lot of time to throw the ball, and it was in those key drives at the end of the game, and having somebody of that caliber at the right side, just to shore up, would, in my mind, be the best option moving forward. You really got to look to solidify that offensive line for Brock.
And then here's Azeez Al-Shaair. He's ranked 39, but I think he would be perfect in our system.
He would be a seamless fit. It'd be a welcome home party for Azeez. His teammates he's still great. He's still great friends with a lot of the defensive players. I mean, he was seen in the locker room last season a few times. He was there during the Packer game. He was there. I couldn't believe it. You already know the chemistry's there, so why not pull the trigger, make it happen, bring this guy back?
Well, and the thing too is that he may be willing to come back on a 1 year contract or 2 year contract Either way, I don't know if I would sign him to a massive deal because you still have Dre Greenlaw. But if he wants to come back, I don't want to say for a hometown discount, but if he comes back for a reasonable contract, this is the guy I think they should go after him right away. Look at that ugly ass hat down there.
Yeah, we're in that window.
Is there anything else we can look at?
And plus you don't know how Greenlaw's going to recover from that Achilles tear. You really don't. So why not go out there and sign him and shore up that side of the back of the linebacking core?
Exactly. Now, some of these guys, though, I mean, like DJ Reader's good, but look at Reader. Look, he had a torn right quad injury. That's a pretty severe injury. I would stay away from that. Now, a guy I do like is to bring back a guy like Trent Brown, who's a free agent right here from the Patriots. He used to play for the Niners, and this would be good to replace Colton McKivitz because I mean, look, McKivitz. They went with him over Mike McGlinchey because, for one, he costs less, and two, I mean, McGlinchey wasn't that big of an upgrade from McKivitz anyway, so they said, hey, let's just roll with it. But as the season went on, he got worse and worse and worse. And so I think getting a guy like Trent Brown, who's fucking huge, let me see if I can find if it gives me his size here. That doesn't sound right, but you know what I mean. He's 6'8", 370. That's a fucking big boy.
He's got long arms too. It's hard to get him.
His hands are 11 inches. I mean, holy shit. Are there any stats for him? They're like, he blocked players.
He had 20 pancakes last season.
20 pancakes.
Yeah, pancakes. Yeah.
But so that would be a good pickup, I think. And I don't think he would cost you as much as some of these other guys, but the Tony Pollard. But the let me see. Oh, where am I at? There we go. What is this? Where am I at? Chris Jones. Okay, so it would have cost the Chiefs $32 million to place a franchise tag on him. And the Chiefs, they're fucking cheap as fuck. They're the only reason why they're winning is because they got what's his face, Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid over there. If you take away Mahomes from that game, they don't win. Flat out.
They were ranked by the players as like the worst organization to work for.
Exactly. Oh yeah, no, they're in the like the bottom.
I mean, how shitty is that? You winning all these Super Bowls?
Half. Yeah.
This is a guy right here. Like, if they wanted to break the bank, right? So let's say they do some restructuring and they free up some cap space, right? I would love to see them, go after for like a 1-year deal or I don't know, 2-year deal, whatever, a short-term deal, no more than 4 years for Chris Jones. I mean, he's a monster.
I think if that happens though, I think I don't know if you can afford to bring Chase Young back or even Clelin Ferrell, who was another free agent on the Niners.
Look, the way I see it, no, and I see what you mean, but the way I see it right now is that they're going to restructure a lot of these contracts, and I think that I mean, look, the players along, with the organization, I think they understand that this is their window. Next year might be one of the last years to have this window to get back to the Super Bowl, and if it's me, I'm like, look, I want to do whatever it takes to stack this team up from the get-go and really make an impact and, get back to the Super Bowl. I mean, Chris Jones, he is 30. So when you sign a player, 30 plus, you're on the downside of their career. Some yes, some no. But I mean, look at Hargrave. We signed Hargrave. He's over 30 and he didn't really do all that well. But I think if you had a guy like Chris Jones next to him, now the problem with this too, is that if you sign Chris Jones, you still got Eric Armstead and you still have Javon Hargrave. So and then what you could put Armstead on the outside, which he's done before.
Yep, before, yeah, exactly. Well, and then Chris Jones moves all over the defensive line too. So you have one of the most, not only the most dominant, one of the most versatile defensive lines in the entire league.
It'd be pretty unstoppable.
Yeah, exactly.
Christian Wilkins, I like a lot. He does a really good job, and he was a terror against the Niners, especially the game in which Garoppolo broke his foot. Everywhere you look, he was there. Daniil Hunter's another one, but these guys are going to these guys are going to want some serious money.
Yeah.
Look,
the way John Lynch is aggressive in free agency, he's at least entertaining and listening to everything.
I mean, he signed a 1-year deal for $20 million. Now here's the other thing too. Some of these guys, like Daniil Hunter, look, they're 29. Wilkins is 28. Chris Jones is 30. A lot of these guys, because of their age, they want a longer contract because they want more assurance at their older age, you could say, right? But here's the thing too, is that if you were to promise somebody, hey, we'll sign you to a 1-year deal, $20 million, whatever, fuck it, right? However you want to do it, if it's a 1-year deal and they know that they're going to be playing on an elite team with a chance to make the Super Bowl and a chance to get a fat contract after this year, I think a lot of these players would do that. Like, hey, I want to win.
That's a very good point.
And so, and then,
it's a good luring, perspective, definitely.
Well, especially
for
because
sure.
you got, I mean, right now you have Bosa, Hargrave, Armstead, and then you got fucking question mark because Drake Jackson's still on the team. Who else is there? Unless you bring back Cleveland Farrell and put him there. But I mean, as much as I like Cleveland Farrell, I still think like you're downgrading by just going with him only. Yeah, I think you need something more there.
Playmaker.
Well, yeah, he wasn't able to prove it with the Raiders. Then,
well, the Raiders.
He actually is a pretty good player. He played really well.
He was great. If we would have had him for the Super Bowl, that would have been so helpful. Tyrion Smith, this guy is going to make some fucking huge money because he wasn't making shit, and he's gonna demand a fat contract. So I don't think
he led the league in interceptions, I believe.
He's an offensive tackle, so I don't know how.
My bad. I thought you said cornerback. There's another Smith.
If he did, then we got to sign this guy. This guy's incredible.
He ran a 4.5.
I know. Saquon Barkley, actually, I was hearing rumors about how, who was it? There was a team, I think it was the Chargers, are planning to go really hard after Saquon Barkley to give, what's his face?
Jim Harbaugh.
Well, Harbaugh, yeah, but the quarterback, Herbert,
Justin
Herbert, a running back option, which would be huge for them.
Because Eckler's a free agent, correct?
Yeah. Well, I think he is. Yes, he was even contemplating retiring.
Yeah,
I saw him talking on an interview.
Injured.
I mean, your first receiver on here is Calvin Ridley. Like, no. Here's the other guy, Mike Onwenu, who would be really good.
That's that offensive guard, that versatile guard.
Fuck this guy, even though he'd probably be pretty good, but fuck him. CJ Gardner-Johnson. Bryce Huff, he's actually a good player as well. He played for the Jets. I'm surprised he's a free agent. Xavier McKinney, another safety that's out there. Stephon Gilmore, I think he's just over he's over the hill. He's not your primary.
I don't think so.
Stopper.
Yeah.
Robert Hunt, another offensive guard. We talked about Patrick Queen already. Jacoby Brissett. There was another player
Baker.
Baker. There's Chase Young. There he is. And he's only 25.
See, that guy should sign with the team. Do a 1 year. Come on. It makes sense. It really does make sense. And he's actually a fucking pretty darn good player. So
he is. No. Go ahead.
No, I think for both sides it makes sense. Kind of, and exactly what Andre said. It's like that 1 year. Try to do your best to go all in, win a Super Bowl, and then hit the market, and then you even have that on your resume too, which you're going to get top dollar, hands down, for sure. So I think it makes sense for both sides.
Yeah,
getting the Niners over the top, and then him getting what he wants. Next year in free agency.
I feel like with Chase Young, if you're going to bring Chase Young back, then you have to make a move to keep Cleveland Farrell. Now he tears ACL.
Yeah.
So when is he even going to come back? I mean, that's the other thing too. But my point is,
at the end of the season.
Yeah, having at the end of the season, like, oh shit.
Oh yeah, he's dust.
But the thing too is that, I mean, a lot of these guys bounce back faster than they used to. I mean, if you're a running back, if you're a wide receiver and you have to make cuts and you got to like burst the speed, I mean, linemen do as well, defensive linemen, but if you have Chase Young and you're able to retain a guy like Cleveland Farrell, then you have Cleveland Farrell who could play most of the downs, first down, second down, and then your third down rush attack is Chase Young. And I think that's what we saw a lot of when we got Chase Young in, at midseason. Now, once those guys started getting hurt, then he became an every down defensive end, and that's when we started seeing him not very good against the run, kind of like getting at looking gas all the time. But in the Super Bowl, he looked great. Now, that's the Super Bowl. I think he wanted to make sure that he looked really good for the Super Bowl, but still, I think if you get a guy like Chase Young, you got to try to bring back a guy like Cleveland Farrell. Let me see when he's even going to come back. But I mean, what do you guys think about Chase Young? I mean, if he wanted to come back for a 1-year deal, would you re-sign him?
Yeah, playmaking ability, hands down. I mean, one of the top edge rushers in the league. So it makes sense. Pairing him with Nick Bosa only makes us more lethal on the edges. I think you continue that chemistry. I think at this point he's already familiar with the scheme. He understands his role. So yeah, it makes sense on both sides. Bring this guy back for at least one more year and try to get over the hump together.
And I'd also throw out there that that Shanahan hired Nick Sorensen, right? And he's gonna bring back kind of like that defensive schemes that we saw D'Amico Ryan's run and Robert Saleh run. Yeah. So I think that's a plus for any D lineman out there on that team, just the defense in general. I think that should be a positive.
Yeah, getting back to applying that pressure that we were accustomed to seeing.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. So let's talk about that. So when we look at the defensive coordinator position now, there were a lot of names thrown out there. There was Merritt, who's the defensive, he's the secondaries coach or the DB coach for the Kansas City Chiefs. The guy has 5 fucking Super Bowls under his belt, right? Mm-hmm. You got Bill Belichick, who they talked to. They interviewed Brandon Staley, who they ultimately did bring on in a different capacity, which we'll get to shortly. Yeah. And they interviewed a lot of guys internally. Brian Bullocks. But they ultimately ended up going with Nick Sorensen. Now, looking at this kind of hire, because, again, we know for a fact that Kyle Shanahan reached out to Bill Belichick to offer him the job. And Bill Belichick basically told him, thank you, but no thank you, because he wants to focus his time on television, which I don't see how that makes any sense because the guy has no fucking personality. But
Not at all.
Maybe they're going to gear it towards that. Like, I don't know. But I don't see how that makes really any sense for Bill Belichick. But if they're going to give him that kind of job, he's probably going to take it because it makes pretty good money, right? But when you look at Nick Sorensen, where the fuck's that mouse out? There it is. Let's see. No thanks. Hold on, let me pull this up. So here's Nick Sorensen. So this is our new defensive coordinator. Sorensen is in his first season with the 49ers as the defensive passing game and nickels coach. So that's what he was previously last year. He spent his first season with San Francisco as a defensive assistant in 2022. Sorensen joined the 49ers after spending the 2021 season as a special teams coordinator under Jacksonville, which was not a very good special teams. But then again, he was coaching under Urban Meyer, and that whole situation in Jacksonville was a fucking train wreck. So I don't really blame him.
Yeah,
I know. In 2022, the 49ers ranked first in overall, or their defense ranked first overall in the NFL, allowing 300.6 total yards per game, and the first with 16.3 points allowed per game. And that was in his first year with the 49ers. San Francisco's defense also ranked, so they ranked high in with 20 interceptions, and he was their passing game nickel coach as well. So he understands the concepts, and I think that when you look at a guy like a Bill Belichick, right, or you look at a guy like Dave Merritt, or even Mike Vrabel, right? With these guys, if they come in, what are they going to do? They're probably going to want to bring in their own people. Like, hey, I know this guy. I want this guy. I want this guy.
Oh, yeah.
So maybe the Niners are looking at it saying, hey, look, we like Chris Kasarik. We like Bullocks. We like all these guys. We don't really want to lose these guys, but we're asking this other guy to come in and take on the guys we already have. So I think you're in a situation where you're like, hey, look, Sorensen understands the defense. He knows the scheme. He knows what we like, and it allows us to hang on to the guys that we already have.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's why they went with Nick Sorensen, because they say, hey, look, the guy has experience. It says here 21 years of experience, whatever you want to say that is. But I think they wanted to keep the majority of their coaches that they already have. But guys, what do you think about the decision to promote Nick Sorensen as the defensive coordinator? Daniel, I'll start with you.
I like the decision. I thought it was a good call by Shanahan. He does bring a lot of experience with him. He was part of those Seahawks, the was it Legion of Doom, whatever they were called?
Legion of Boom.
Legion of Boom. So he was a part of those years, which I think, obviously he brought some of that knowledge with him. He's a seasoned coach in the NFL. He has a lot of experience playing in the NFL. So not only as a player, but as a coach. And I think that can only benefit, his next step in his career, which is defensive coordinator. The next step above this is going to be a head coach. So we'll see how he goes. And, I'm excited. I'm optimistic as well. He's the first-time defensive coordinator. He has probably one of the most talented defensive teams in the league. So he should do well if he coaches the team well. And, I'm excited, optimistic, and look forward to seeing what he does with this defense.
I agree. And guys, we have 17 watching right now. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching over on X, you can click on the link to my Twitter page, and the YouTube link is right there for you to join us on YouTube and subscribe to the channel. I really appreciate everyone who subscribes. And if you want to support the channel, do so by becoming a member or joining us over on Patreon. So, okay, Dre, let's go with you. What do you think of Nick Sorensen as our new defensive coordinator?
Well, I agree with both what you guys both said. First thing that comes to mind is chemistry, continuity, familiarity, and I think that's why they ultimately went with this decision. When he first came into the Niners organization, he was tasked with the secondary, the nickel assistant coach, and they asked him, how do we generate and how do we create more turnovers? And he was tasked with trying to figure that out for this defense. And over the last 2 seasons, they culminated in 42 takeaways, I'm talking interceptions, and only gave up 40 touchdowns in his tenure so far. So the resume speaks for itself. They want to focus on secondary. I think what we saw with Wilkes was a lot more soft zone, not a lot of press coverage. I think he will have more of an aggressive mindset coming from the DeMeco Ryans, the Robert Saleh, kind of that whole scheme like Daniel already spoke about. I think there's going to be a sense of urgency, the way he's going to have to coach. He's now tasked with running the entire defense.
Yeah. So
my guess is there will be a little, getting used to, running the entire defense, not only focusing on his positions. I think it's the right move. I think Kyle Shanahan realized when he promoted Robert Saleh from within, when he promoted DeMeco Ryans from within, it worked. Now Nick Sorensen might not get the leeway that DeMeco did. DeMeco was with us for 2 years. Robert Saleh was with us for 2 years before he ended up finding a job. With the window being where it is for the Niners, the Super Bowl window, there's a lot of pressure on this guy. I think the inexperience, could be a factor. But I think, and moving along to, I know what we'll also be talking about is, I think that was a reason why they brought in Brandon Staley kind of as an advisor for this guy. They're going to utilize him kind of as the same aspect when they brought in Anthony Lynn a year ago to be their offensive, the assistant head coach. Just having somebody to share philosophies with Kyle Shanahan. But again, he's defensive minded. He's used to calling plays. He's been a defensive coordinator. I think there's going to be a relationship between Brandon Staley and Nick Sorensen, and we'll see if it works. But I think just from bringing somebody from within was the right decision ultimately.
Yeah, and like I was saying, you want to keep the same system in place. You know that it is successful. You saw it work really well with Robert Saleh and with D'Amico Ryans. When you brought in Steve Wilkes, you basically told him, "Hey, this is our scheme. Play to our scheme." And he did to a certain degree, but it felt like he tried to implement his own style to it. And do I think that he made some good adjustments in the second half of the season? Yeah, I do. I think he started to figure it out.
Yeah,
And
getting on the field was a big deal too.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, because these guys, they were used to having their coach down there, rooting them on, being in the trenches, with the defensive team, and him being up in the booth. It was kind of just like, well, what the fuck do you think? I mean, he's way up there. Who knows? So, one of the questions I want to ask you guys is, I mean, look, we're going to talk about Brandon Staley in a minute, but do you think that when looking back on the Super Bowl, was this loss more on Steve Wilkes or more on Kyle Shanahan? Daniel?
Oh, good question, man. But I'll tell you what, Shanahan is the head coach, right? He's in charge of hiring and, writing up the game plan and getting with the team, the coaches. It has to be on Shanahan. You cannot blame Wilkes for the reason why the Niners lost, but he had his part in it. His hands were in the mix for sure.
There was blood on his hands.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah.
But someone brought him in. By any means. Someone brought him in. Someone had faith in him to do a good job, and I think he did whatever he did his best. But I would say Shanahan. I mean,
well, I mean, John Lynch brought in Steve Wilkes. I mean, the guy was a head coach for the Carolina Panthers. He was the interim head coach, and the guy's been around. He's had so many different jobs.
Cardinals.
So this is a guy who can take the shit that comes with being a defensive coordinator or a coach on a marquee team, right?
I saw something where Wilkes has had like 30 different positions.
He's had a lot, man. He's been around. He's been around.
If you're hiring, would you hire someone that has had 30 different jobs?
What's up, Droga? Thank you so much, man. It was good seeing you out here.
Yeah, hit the like.
I would say Shanahan as well. Yeah, I mean, if you ask me, it ultimately fell on Kyle Shanahan because Steve Spagnuolo outcoached him again, especially in the second half when it mattered the most. But I'm not in a position to say, hey, look, I'm not even in a position. I don't think the Niners are in any position to say this is on Shanahan. Fire Kyle Shanahan. No, because even the thought of getting rid of Shanahan, you have to ask yourself, well, okay, so if you get rid of him, who do you have to replace him? What are you going to bring in, Bill Belichick? No, he's going to fire everybody, bring a whole new cast of characters in, and then everything's going to be all turned upside down. So no, I don't think there's anyone out there that is as good as Kyle Shanahan. The only guy that I would say, wait a minute, maybe we go for him if that scenario even popped up is the current coach of the Rams.
Oh yeah, Sean McVay.
Sean McVay. If Sean McVay got fired, then that's the only time I'd be like, hey, McVay's out there. You know what I mean? He's kind of sexy.
Hire his boy.
It would either be McVay or it'd be Mike McDaniel from the Dolphins. But still, what's up, man? Good to see you, buddy. But Dre, the Super Bowl, is this loss on Kyle Shanahan or on Steve Wilkes?
I agree with Daniel. I think ultimately the head coach has to be the one to take the ultimate blame for the results. Now, again, we all know Steve Wilkes had a hand in the result as well too. Some of that coverage towards the back end of the game, and even a lot of the decisions throughout the season, which cost them a couple of wins. And then you started to hear the rumblings about Kyle Shanahan really having to really step in and kind of call out Steve Wilkes throughout the season. Again, we're talking about who should this blame go to. Ultimately, it's the head coach, but I mean, Steve Wilkes is right there, right in second place, right behind him. I mean, we all saw what happened. We all know the results. So
Yeah.
But ultimately, the blame goes with the head coach.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay, so let's get back to where is that? This right here. Okay, so along with bringing in Nick Sorensen, or I should say promoting Nick Sorensen, the Niners reached out and they got Brandon Staley as their assistant head coach. Now, a lot of people thought that Brandon Staley would be a candidate for their defensive coordinator position. I mean, the guy was a coordinator for the Los Angeles Rams the year they won the Super Bowl, and that defense was pretty legit. Now, I'm sorry to say this, but that team probably shouldn't have been there because the Niners could have won that game and gone on to face the Bengals in the Super Bowl. And I'm surprised that the Bengals didn't win that game either. But either way, he still had a really good season as their coordinator. And on top of that, he did serve as a head coach for the Chargers for 2.5 seasons. And then he got fired after they got completely obliterated by the Raiders. And then they fired him.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a team, too, that had a lot of talent on that roster. They just couldn't put it together. And then you got Joey Bosa, who's constantly hurt. Now, the thing about Brandon Staley that I was thinking about is that if you even entertain the idea of bringing in like a Joey Bosa, I wonder if Joey Bosa, like, what is his relationship with Brandon Staley? Does he like the guy? Does he like playing for him? Do he not like playing for him? Is that going to be an issue if Bosa gets cut? Imagine if Bosa got cut and he came to play here for 1 year for the Niners, and you had the Bosa brothers on either end. That would be huge.
Oh yeah, no, I'd kick the tires on that for sure.
Absolutely, but I mean, go ahead.
No, you're finish.
So we got a question here from the Bills bunker. He says, honest question because I haven't been on your channel before. Tell me your thoughts on the Super Bowl OT coin toss. When they first did it, I didn't think it was that. I really didn't give that decision that much time of day. I figured, you know what, I would rather score and then because the defense was just on the field. So it's kind of like, do you put your defense back on the field again and try and stop Mahomes, or do you put your offense on the field, give your defense a break, and hopefully we score a touchdown? But after a lot of deliberation and talking about that, about this question, I would say that he should have deferred, but I mean,
yeah.
At the end of the day, Patrick Mahomes drove down the field and won the game.
Yeah, and we've had a big discussion about this before on previous shows where he should have deferred.
Yeah,
because the simple fact is you do not want to give Patrick Mahomes the ball to win the game, and that's what it comes down to. It's like,
that's what ultimately happened. Yeah,
that's what ultimately happened, and it was probably his worst nightmare right in front of him and right in front of all of us. So
yeah, that scenario you never want to play out, no matter who it is. You never want to be staring number 15 down, giving him that last opportunity to drive down the field, because obviously the guy's money every time.
It's clutch. He's a fucking clutch player.
Unfortunately.
Yeah,
that's my take on it too. You're not going to really hear anything different from me. I really, when it happened, I didn't really look too much into it. The more I thought about it, the more we discussed it, the more I contemplated it. Yes, you're exactly right. What we just alluded to, you don't put the ball in Patrick Mahomes' hands to finish the game, and that's ultimately what happened. So
yeah. Good question. Thanks for bringing that up again.
Yeah. You had to bring that up.
Born in the side.
Oh God.
Open my scab.
Niner for Life says, at the same time, the defense was sloppy all season. It hurts seeing how they were against the run, and that's true. They could never stop that run, but at the same time, they lost a lot of their best run defenders. They lost Al-Shair, who's a big guy against the run defense. They lost Jimmy Ward, and Jimmy Ward was not going to come back. I saw an interview with Jimmy Ward. He was talking about how he was done after the previous season, and that's why he followed D'Amico over to Texas.
Yeah, well, and then you lose Talno Hofunga halfway through the season too, who's one of our most assured run stuffers, even though he plays the safety position too. So that was a huge loss. And then I hate bringing it up or thinking about it too, but the Dre Greenlaw injury in the first half, obviously, not having him available to finish off the game.
Ridiculous.
But, I mean, we're talking about the entire season. I don't think our defensive line was completely healthy throughout the back end of the season. I think a lot of people had undisclosed injuries. We heard about Eric Armstead playing with a bicep injury pretty much right that whole second half, which was never disclosed, and now he had surgery for it. So we were all banged up, and I think that had a lot of that had a lot to do with it.
Yeah.
So
I would say, real quick, Andre, just keep the questions coming. You guys have questions, pop them up.
Yeah, anything.
It's always good to discuss this stuff. Yeah, I love it.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So going back to Brandon Staley, I think, look, to me, this was a smart hire because you have a guy who is another defensive guru who's going to be there on the field with you, and who's been a head coach for 2.5 seasons with the San Diego Chargers. So I think that you have another experienced coach on your sideline there to support you and the rest of the team, and not to mention who's there to also support Nick Sorensen, because I would imagine Sorensen will be on the ground on the sideline coaching that defense, and you're going to have Brandon Staley right there. I don't want to say looking over his shoulder, but in a support mode to hopefully help him out. And then at the same time, though, it's like I think having a defensive mind like Brandon Staley on the sideline will help Kyle Shanahan, because a lot of times Shanahan, he kind of gets in these funks where he's trying to he wants to throw the ball so bad that he's forcing it down the field. And you're like, dude, you got to start running the ball. And maybe this is a guy who'll be like, hey, they're playing your pass defense, or they're playing your passing game like this. You should maybe think about running the ball. He has someone that he can kind of turn to be like, hey, what am I not seeing? No,
an advisory on the defensive side. And I think it is kind of what you just said it was. I think it is for him to kind of be looking over the shoulder with Nick Sorensen. Now, they were both brought in to interview for the defensive coordinator. Ultimately, they went in with the internal hire, which I think is the better move. He's got more chemistry, knows the players, knows the scheme. This is a guy who's from the Vic Fangio defensive tree. I think you're going to see him being brought in to throw in a little bit of nuances in our scheme and be a little bit more aggressive than we saw with Steve Wilkes. I think Brandon Staley is an aggressive defensive play caller. I think he will sprinkle in some new ideas to help Nick Sorensen maximize the potential of our secondary moving forward. I think you may start to see a lot more corner blitzes implemented, or this is going to be a more aggressive defensive of approach. And I think you're right. I think bringing Brandon Staley in to kind of help mentor, maybe guide Nick Sorensen, make his job a little bit more easy. Maybe help him with that play calling ability, because Brandon Staley has called plays, Nick Sorensen hasn't. So this was well thought of, but I think ultimately not having Brandon Staley as a defensive coordinator was ultimately the better decision, because again, it's similar schemes, but it's kind of not. So I think having him just as an advisor works in our favor.
Right. And as the assistant head coach, he could be assigned to help in different areas. And I think that just having another intelligent mind on the field, on the sidelines with Kyle Shanahan, with Nick Sorensen, is going to help them all around. And so I thought that was a really, really good hire to get Brandon Staley just on the field with them. Yeah. And look, if it works out great, it may lead to another coordinator job for him after this year. Who knows? Mm-hmm. Are you going to draft an offensive tackle? Yeah, I would predict that the Niners are going to draft an offensive tackle, or just an offensive lineman in general. It could be the best center that's available, the best right guard, right tackle, but they are going to draft one of those positions with their first round pick, in my opinion, because they haven't done it in a number of years. And so I think this is the year you have to do it, because you already got Trent Williams, who's probably playing his last season, if not one more, possibly. And look, where you suffered the most, you suffered on the offensive line. That is what really broke down, especially in the Super Bowl. And so you have to bolster that up. Now, of course, we could say that, but at the same time, if you go to bolster up your offensive line, now you're taking cap space away from other areas of the field that are going to need some help. So it's going to be tricky to see how they exactly, bring attention to all these positions that they need addressing on the 49ers. But getting Brandon Staley on the sideline, I think, is a really, really good decision. Saquon Barkley. This is what it was. It was the Texans. So imagine the Texans had Saquon Barkley to go with C.J. Stroud. I mean, that'd be clutch.
Oh boy. Oh boy.
He just subbed. Thank you so much. When the Bills or Blue Jays play SF, I'm always down to collab. Oh, absolutely, Bills Bunker. Definitely. Follow me on Twitter as well.
Nice.
It's just under Nicotina, and you could DM me. If not, just follow me on Twitter because that's what I'm more active on and communication wise. Downer for Life says, I really wish we could have gotten a ring for the big Trent fuck. I felt like we lost him. The thing too was that he really fucked up that one drive too. He had a false start and a fucking holding. I was like, God damn it, Trent. Everyone's like, oh, big Trent Williams, the best offensive lineman in the league. It's like, damn it.
Yeah.
Like fucking Jason Kelsey wouldn't do that, you know.
Felt the pressure for sure.
Yeah, he was tripping out big time.
Well, one thing that we can't overlook is the signing of KJ Wright as a linebacking coach.
Yes, that's huge.
Yeah.
You should hear all the shit talking coming out of Seattle, and the former players are all pissed at him for leaving, for signing,
There's been a lot of
Is that right? Has there been a lot of shit talking from Seattle?
Yeah, there's been shit talking. They're all pissed up there.
Yeah.
No way.
There's been a lot of change of the guard as far as Seattle players or former players now moving to the. It's because we've picked off of their their defense. Let's call it what it is. The Seattle defense pretty much set the tone. After 2010, everybody took a chunk out of that defensive playbook. I feel like there's a lot of schemes that have ran from that team, and so we're rivals. It's good for the game. It's good for the division.
Oh, yeah.
And it's giving, and Kyle Shanahan's great at giving a lot of young guys coming out of the league coaching opportunities, and look what he does with them. His coaching tree is going to continue to just expand with all this talent he's brought in, and I think it's just good for the league. It really is.
And here's some of that trash talk right here. Bruce Irvin doesn't seem to like former Seahawks going to the 49ers.
Yeah, see. Yeah, no, it's
permanent ops for life.
But hey, these guys are looking for any opportunity they can to get on the field. If they see coaching as the future of their careers, bring it on. You need more
this
coaching.
Fucking guy. Look at Bruce Irvin. He's terrible. I hate the Niners. I would never ever work with that city in any kind of way. Permanent ops for God damn.
Wow, he's bitter. He's
Haterville, man. Haterville.
I don't know why he's so mad because he was on the winning end of most of those interactions, or games against the Niners. When he was on the Seahawks, they would terrorize Colin Kaepernick.
That was a rivalry, man. When those guys played, man, that was huge rivalry.
I wonder what he thinks of Richard Sherman then.
Like this is that video.
Yeah, I know, right?
Did you see this video of Marshawn Lynch during Super Bowl walking to a casino talking shit to everybody?
No.
Like, this is actually pretty funny. I actually like this one. Hold on, let me bring it over here.
Fuck you. Fuck you, you little ugly motherfucker. You a Niner fan?
Yes, sir.
Fuck you. Are you a 49er fan?
Yes, I am.
Fuck you.
Hey, Marshawn. Go Bills.
Are you a 49er fan?
Absolutely.
Fuck you.
I'm kidding. We want this shit.
Anyway, that's what he does. I think that was pretty funny because at least he's holding up to that rivalry. You know what I mean? He's like, fuck it, I'm going to go there and say, fuck you to every Niner fan.
Yep.
It's crazy, man.
He's saying it in a fun manner, though.
Yeah, whatever. He's not saying, fuck you. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he's not.
He's not like, I'm Tyrone, remember?
He's being funny.
Dude, those Tyrone videos used to be hilarious, man. Stop smoking. Smoking's bad for you, motherfucker. They're all like... Niner for Life says, but get this, was this fucking shit rigged? 0 holding penalty calls in the 3 Super Bowl wins for the Chiefs. What the fuck? I know it's funny when you bring that up, and I hate going down the whole conspiracy theory, tunnel unless we're talking about like UFOs or Bigfoot. Unless. The Anunnaki. No, but
keep it simple.
Let's keep it simple here. Let's get back on track. But it is interesting that in the 3 Super Bowls they won, you had no holding penalties, if not very little, called against them. But in the Super Bowl that they lost to the Bucks with Tom Brady, they were calling holding left and right, like holding, because it makes you wonder: did they want Tom Brady to win that game to, like, cement himself as the GOAT?
Send him off in the sunset.
You never know.
Makes you wonder.
Makes you wonder. LOL. I'm going to Seattle with a band of my Bills Mafia brothers to take over next season. I'll be recording lots of content there. Going to be a fun W. I hope so. Fuck those Seahawks. And here's the thing too. You know what? Bills Bunker, I'm a little pissed with you too, because you know what? You guys were supposed to knock out these fucking Chiefs at home in the playoffs.
That's
and
true.
You didn't get it done.
That's true.
Didn't get it done. I was like,
You have Josh
We were supposed to be
Allen,
playing
one of
the
best
Bills
quarterbacks
Mafia
in
in
the
that
league.
championship.
I know,
Oh.
Josh Allen, he just hucks it down the field like,
Come on.
I'm going to throw it. Fuck, intercepted.
Strong arm.
Oh, I'll do it again. I don't care. Someone should have thrown Skittles at him. I know.
Yeah, I was gonna say Skittles, baby.
Skittles.
Beast mode jokes. Beast mode is jokes. Oh, God. Anyway. Oh, here he goes. Mahomes also has the most interceptions called back on flags. He's still great, but just saying, I think if anything, look, I mean, the Niners picked him off. We also caused the fumble that we recovered. I mean, we had plenty of chances to fucking take the lead in this game, and we just couldn't do it. So it is what it is.
It is what it is.
We'll talk about that on a later date. But when it comes to a guy like Brandon Ayuk, I think that the Niners really need to figure this out quick. I don't want this to linger into next season. I mean, they could wait until like mid-season to really get this done, but then you're doing it during the season. I kind of want them to get this done now, but it almost feels like, hey, they're like, hey, look, we know we want to bring him back, and we know he's here next year, so let's focus our money on getting players on this team, as opposed to extending a guy who's already here. And then as the season goes on, we'll try and work the extension during the season.
Yeah. No, I think that's probably the approach that's going to happen. I don't want this to be a distraction going into next year. You don't want this to be a distraction for the Niners or for Ayuk. So get it done as soon as you can. It makes sense. I know he wants to be a Niner. Let's make him a Niner for life.
Yeah.
Yep.
Niner for life. He's here. He's here too. And guys, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. We do these Dreyer Sports Show once, if not twice a week. I think we'll be back live again on Sunday. But going back to what we were talking about, I mean, when it comes to free agency, I really feel like Trent Brown would be a great acquisition to put on as your right guard. And then you draft either the best center or the best right guard that's out there during the draft. But I think one of these positions you have to shore up in free agency, somewhat early on. But I do think that the main guy that I would go after is Azeez Al-Shaair. I think bringing him back is crucial to stopping the run and to make sure that you have an elite linebacker next to Fred Warner while Dre Greenlaw rehabs and gets himself back. There was a report that Dre Greenlaw might come back or might be back for week 1, which was like, what? But I would rather him be sure and 100% back. Even if that means, hey, he comes back for week 2, week 3, I'm good with that. But I think Azeez Al-Shaair is the guy I would go after number 1. I want that guy back on the team so bad.
Mm-hmm. No, linebacker support due to the injury is huge. I think if we're going to hit the ground running defensively, we can't have that void in the linebacking core. I think Azeez Al-Shaair makes sense. Previous 49er, knows the scheme. I mean, he was a tackling machine for the Titans last year, led the team with, I think, 130 plus tackles. I think it makes the most sense. I think you said it. Go get him and bring him back.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think he wants to come back. In fact, just recently, like a few days ago, he posted a video of himself getting an interception against the Buccaneers as a Niner. And so, like, that was huge. I mean, right there, I'm like, this guy wants to come back.
Oh,
like,
yeah, you can tell.
I wonder I wonder what he wants to come back. And if we can make it happen, I think we should. I think signing a guy like Trent Brown, drafting an offensive lineman, because, I mean, look, they already made a statement that they wanted to bring back, they're interested in bringing back John Feliciano.
Yeah.
So if Feliciano comes back, you know that he could play right guard, or he could also do some center as well. So I think you have to look at, what's the best player we can get at either of those positions in the draft.
Yeah.
Now, Daniel had sent me, I forgot to send it onto here. I don't have the image, but you sent me a trade rumor that I wanted to go over with you guys. And the trade rumor was, would you send all 3 of your 3rd round picks to the Denver Broncos for Pat Surtain? And that's it. And look, for a minute I was like, yeah, I would do it. I want Pat Surtain on the other side next, with Mooney Ward on the other side. I mean, that'd be outstanding.
Yeah, slide Lenore to the nickel. Yeah.
But I mean, and guys, we talked about it. I think the hard thing is that there's a lot of holes to fill on this team. And if you give away 3 third-round draft picks for a cornerback that's elite, I don't know. It's a lot to give up. That's a lot.
And the Niners make a killing in those mid to the 3rd, 4th, 5th rounds is where they seem to be making the most productive selections throughohout the entire draft.
Unless you're a running back.
Yeah, well, it's true. Yes, unless you're
Don't be a running back drafted by the Niners in the 3rd round. It's not going to end.
Oh yeah, it's not going to go very well for you.
It
never works out.
But I think that is a lot of draft capital to give up. When we already have guys internally that have already proven they can solidify the other side of the ball. I mean, Patrick Surtain's a player of a different caliber. I mean, this guy's going to be the number 1 corner no matter which team he's on. I mean, he would already be the best corner even moving in. No slight to Charvarius Ward, but I mean, Patrick Surtain is the ultimate shutdown corner, or at least one of them. So, I think it is a little bit too much draft capital though in the end to give up, especially when we already have some depth there.
I would totally agree. I mean, that's a big give for a player, but I think if you're going to add someone like him, his talent level and what he would do to that defense with a new defensive coordinator, first-time defensive coordinator, a defensive back-minded defensive coordinator, I think that would be pretty fucking badass. I mean,
it would be phenomenal to have him out there. I mean, yeah, that'd be huge.
He'd just be so good. It would really lock up that receiver, and then Ward is so good, and I think I talked about with you guys is you get such a good secondary. It takes the pressure off the D line a little bit and gives them just a little bit more time to get to the quarterback.
You're right, and
I think
these past few years, you're right. These past few years, we've relied so heavily on a 4-man rush that if we do stick to that philosophy, it does make sense to go out and get somebody to lock down that second half of the field.
Yeah.
To allow your 4 down linemen to get pressure consistently. So in that regard, it does make sense. And if I guess we would be stupid, the Niners would be stupid not to entertain that. But as far as the capital goes, to figure out some other solution, because I think
it's a big gamble.
It is a big gamble too. But I would. I mean, not that I would say I wouldn't love to see that, because I would. So I mean, ultimately, we're in that Super Bowl window. So I think you make a big splash to put us over the top.
And a number of DBs got cut just the other day too. Let me see.
Oh yes,
this is gonna break it down by fucking team. Jesus Christ! I was just trying to find that because I know there was articles talking about it, but there was a lot of DBs that were cut, and so the Niners have a huge list of players they can go after.
Tre'Davious White by the Bills, I think. He was just released.
Xavier Howard got released.
Yeah, he got released. Yeah,
there's some high level players still. You wouldn't have to necessarily break the bank for someone like Surtain and get somebody who's, I don't want to say as good, but definitely serviceable for a little bit cheaper. So there's a lot of, I think there's going to be a lot of opportunities to look for a more depth at the cornerback position.
Isn't Snead A free agent?
Yeah,
No.
they're talking about letting him.
Oh, or is he under contract?
I think he's under contract and they could franchise him as well, but he is a player that they would listen to offers on for a trade. So it depends on what you want to give up for him. I mean, he's an extremely good cornerback who would definitely be a game changer. But then again, you're giving assets to the Kansas City Chiefs, which they need to rebuild around, Mahomes.
Yeah, they're getting older.
And so
they're getting older.
Yeah. And
sure.
so, and that's the thing too, is that if the Chiefs ultimately decide like, hey, look, we're not going to, we're not going to sign Chris Jones. We're just going to let him go. Obviously, I think they would get a compensation pick if any team signs him.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't be surprised if the Niners reach out to him and they say, hey, look, we'll give you a 1-year deal to come here and help us win a Super Bowl this year. And he might be like, fuck it, let's go, fuck those guys. And then and we have fucking Bigfoot and Chris Jones running around out there like, and that would be amazing. And then imagine if you put Armstead on the edge, huge. So we'll see how that all kind of plays out.
That'd be a scary defense right there.
And John Lynch will at least entertain it.
Yeah. Trey White will be cheap. Could be a nice ad for you, but very risky as he has 2 blown ACLs and Achilles injuries.
Back to back.
That's it's like Jason Verrett. Jesus. I was looking. That poor guy, dude.
That poor guy,
so
dude,
sad.
man.
I was like, fuck.
Yeah.
Oh well. And then Bill's Bunker also he brought up Leonard Floyd. He's currently ranked 74 in the free agents, NFL free agents, and he finished 2023 with 10.5 sacks as a rotational player at that. That's pretty amazing. I think wasn't he with the Giants at one point? Oh, he's with the Buffalo Bills. Go figure.
What do you know?
I should have known better than that. But yeah, so that would be a good player as well. Odell Beckham, get the fuck out of here, this guy. Russell Wilson, he could be our backup at age 35.
Hey, you don't have to pay him because he's already getting paid a shit ton of money by the Broncos.
Okay, so let's talk about that. I mean, how would you guys feel about if they brought in Russell Wilson to be the backup to Brock Purdy?
Oh, that'd be a joke.
I hope they don't do that.
Come on. No, that'll be silly. No way.
Fuck him. Fuck Russell Wilson.
No.
Yeah, no, that's already past due. He's already past due.
Yeah, it expired.
Yeah.
Spoiled.
Willie Gay would also be another option for linebacker. He's only 26. They could bring him in instead of Azeez Al-Shaair. But
position,
yeah, and he's fast as hell too. So he'd be a good Noah Fant. Could be another tight end they bring in because, I mean, look, the George Kittle I think is still really, really good. However, everyone around him, the Charlie Warners and
we have no depth at tight. We have
no depth
tight end whatsoever.
No depth. And they've been drafting tight ends too.
And they drafted a tight end and they couldn't even get him on the field.
Yeah, nothing has worked out. I mean, Kittle has been the best tight end we've drafted.
Yeah, by far. I think you need more playmaking ability at that position. You need more depth. So, if you look the route of free agency, there are a few guys. Obviously, we already passed one, Noah Fant. That's something else you could look to in the draft as well. But like Daniel already said, we've had a lot of swing and misses in that department for finding George Kittle some support. And I don't know. I'm not too certain how deep the tight end class is in this draft. So you potentially should be looking to free agency to add a little bit more depth.
Another guy too is Brian Burns is a free agent. I don't see him on here, but he's an outside edge rusher, and he would be really good too if we were able to get him. He's from Carolina, and that guy was really, really good. And there's Trent Brown. Oh, Trent Brown, Trent Williams. He's a locker room cancer. He's talking about Russell Wilson. Russ can take the high knees across the Bay to Alcatraz. So look, I mean, Russell Wilson, I don't know where he's going to end up. I just brought that up just for shits and giggles, but no, I don't think they're going to reach out to him whatsoever.
No, yeah, I know.
Russell Wilson's going to join Salah in the Jets.
Tony Pollard, I think, comes back to the Cowboys.
Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, he's going to compete with Aaron Rodgers.
Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson on the same team.
But this is the
That's
guy
like
right here.
the worst fantasy football team right there.
Yeah, oh God.
One Wilson for another Wilson.
I mean, he's only 27 years old too. I mean, this is the guy that I want
So
them to get
if
immediately.
the Niners sign him, right?
Mhm.
When Greenlaw comes back, where does he go?
He goes back to being the third linebacker, but I think in this case you would have a lot more 3-4 sets where you have 3 linebackers on the field because these guys can fly everywhere.
Yeah,
And that's the thing too, is that he's going to have to accept the role. Like, hey, look, when he comes back, I have to either adjust or he has to adjust. You know what I mean? Depending on how long of a contract he signs, but it gives you the assurance that you don't have to rush Greenlaw back because Oren Burks, the free agent, and he did an all right job, but I don't think he's the answer whatsoever. You can't go with a guy like Flanagan Fowles. You really have to have an elite linebacker out there with Fred Warner, and I think this is the guy
for him to thrive. Definitely.
Now
Yes.
the Niners do have some talented linebackers they drafted last year that didn't really play a whole lot. Winters was one of them.
Yeah,
and he showed flashes.
I think it was D. Winters.
D. Winters, and good instincts. So it'd be interesting to see what he has. When it comes to
by next season,
training camp and OTAs and preseason. I mean, he might be still too raw to be out there, full time, but they got some depth.
Logan Thomas, a tight end, is interesting too. I don't care. When I hear Logan, I think of Logan Ryan. I don't want to talk about that guy anymore. Okay, so we're going to switch gears a little bit, and we're going to talk a little San Francisco Giants, because the Giants made a move by adding Matt Chapman as their third baseman from the Toronto Blue Jays. Isn't that Bill's Bunkers team? He was like, yeah, when the Blue Jays coming to town, hey, Bill's Bunker, thank you so much for allowing us to get Matt Chapman. Now, no, that's just a background that I found. I'm not going to cover the Sharks. But
you had to ask.
I know he had, and you know what's funny about that is that we talked about that before the show. I was like, I found this background, but it's got the Sharks. I don't even talk about them, and then he has to bring that up. Like, God damn it. Okay, so Matt Chapman, he's 30 years old. He signs a 3-year deal for $54 million, and this is really a set of 1-year deals. The first year he makes $20 million, and then I have the breakdown right here. Let me share this tab. Okay, so this is the breakdown of his contract. Do I need to zoom in a little bit?
Yeah.
You know what it is? I think it's this monitor. Let me see. Did that change? No, didn't do shit.
2024, 16 million salary plus 2 million signing bonus. 2025, 17 million player option for a 2 million buyout. 2026, 18 million player option or 3 million buyout. 2027, 20 million mutual option or $1 million buyout.
So he's got an opt-out after 1 year. He's got a player option after 2 years, and they have a mutual option on the 3rd year. So really, if he has a breakout year, he could say, I'm fucking leaving this place. Or if he has a year that's shitty and is like playing here, he's out. See you later. Adios. Goodbye. Don't talk to me again.
Yeah. It's a typical anxiety contract.
But I think this is a good contract because not only is it really just 3 1-year contracts, you also give the ability that you have an up-and-coming Casey Schmidt that could take over third base maybe after this season or even the year after. It gives him options to eventually become the third baseman. Now, when it comes to a guy like J.D. Davis, I think he's going to get traded. He didn't want to be here anyway. They tried to sign him to a long-term deal, and he had to go to fucking arbitration, and he got a 1-year deal out of it. So he doesn't really want to be here. So if that's the case, that's why they were like, you know what? Let's get Chapman. We need more defense anyway. And fuck J.D. Davis. And yes, I agree. He is the best third baseman fielding-wise, defensively in baseball, no doubt. Yeah, he's extremely good. Niner Fly says still hurt to this day when Oakland traded him away. And Olsen, that's what they always do. Great glove, inconsistent bat.
That's all the A's do.
So here you have a set of 3-year or 1-year deals for the next 3 years, which I like. It gives the player and it gives the team a lot of flexibility, and they got him for a good price. I mean, look, this is a guy who probably wanted a longer term contract. He probably wanted a 5-6 year deal, and he wasn't going to get that, especially at age 30. But my question is this: is that you're able to work out a contract like this for Matt Chapman, and then you look at what motherfucker won't go away. Oh, it's up here. That's why. You look at a contract that Cody Bellinger got. He got 3 years, $80 million.
Very similar.
And I would have given him that contract if I'm the Giants. They have Cody Bellinger. That's a bat I would want in this lineup. Now, look, adding a guy like Chapman, it does change things up. So let's go ahead and take a look at what it does to the lineup. So this is a projected lineup for the Giants. I don't know if Lamont when he hits third. You're tripping whoever wrote this. But I think what's going to end up happening is you're going to have Jung-Hoo Lee leading off, Tyrell Estrada hitting second, probably Matt Chapman hitting third, and then Soler hitting in the fourth, or in the cleanup spot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And as a DH as well. Conforto could also slide and be the number 3 hitter. But one thing about Wade that we know is that he's really good at hitting fastballs. So putting him in the 3 hole in front of Soler might generate more fastballs his way as they're going to try to aggressively get him out. I mean, look, I love Mike Yastrzemski, but there's got to be a better option in right field than Mike Yastrzemski. I'm sorry. He's a stopgap at this point. And then you got Patrick Bailey, who's probably one of the best up-and-coming catchers in the game.
Yeah,
had a really good year. He kind of fell off towards the end, but then again, it was his rookie year, so you're asking a lot of a rookie catcher. And then you got Marco Luciano, who essentially they're giving him the position and saying, good luck, don't fuck it up. Mm-hmm. And if he doesn't come through, then the backup to that would be someone like Casey Schmidt or Nick Ahmed, who's a 10-year veteran, who used to play for the Arizona Diamondbacks. So, again, adding Chapman and Soler, it does improve the lineup, but this is still not a lineup that I'm like, oh, watch out. It still has a lot of holes. But Estrada is really good. I mean, he gets hurt a lot, but he's a good second baseman. Absolutely. We know what Soler can do. Adding Chapman, having Jung-Hoo Lee leading off, hopefully he can get that going as well. So I think this is looking like a better lineup. But they still need pitching.
Yeah.
And Blake Snell is still out there.
Yeah, no, I think getting Chapman was a telltale sign that kind of, hey, pitchers out there, we have a platinum glove third baseman, come to the Bay Area, come to a non-hitting ballpark, which everybody claims it's a non-hitting ballpark, and have a great season, low ERA, and you have one of the best third basemen playing the game right behind you. So I think that was kind of a luring point for any of these last remaining free agents, especially the pitchers, to say, hey, the defense is set behind us now. Come to a pitching ballpark and lower your stats, lower your ERA. I think it's a great way to hopefully finish the free agent period right before the season starts, to hopefully nail one of these final remaining pitchers, Montgomery, Snell. I think it definitely adds an element of speed, bringing Chapman in too. I think there's an element where you can get back to playing a little bit more small ball. The team looks a little bit faster, younger. So I think we're going to see a better offense as long as they can stay healthy. I think the offensive, the lineup, which you just showed, shows definitely more stability through the lineup.
This can't be right. This doesn't look
well,
right.
And I think it's also good.
Oh, it's spring training. That's why I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, you got to switch it to regular season.
There we go. I was like, this doesn't make any sense. I mean, look, I know they're really fixated on the 2019 year, which they're probably not going to get from him, but you never know. In that year, he batted 249, but he had 36 home runs and 91 RBIs, 73 walks.
He finished in the top 10 in the AL MVP.
Yeah.
So, yeah, he was right
but in this
there.
case, too, I mean, the past 3 seasons, look, he had 27 home runs, and then 17 home runs. And for the Giants, 17 home runs is like, woo! But I think you're looking at batting average wise.
It's like a career bat for somebody.
They're like, oh, thank God. But I mean, batting average wise, 210, 229, 240.
Yeah.
That's not a very high number. And on top of that, when we're talking about batting average, I mean, it's not like you brought in 2 guys. Chapman has an enormous amount of defense, so I'm happy with that. Mm-hmm. But when you look at like Soler, let's see if I can find him. his strikeout numbers are through the roof. So you're gonna have two guys with essentially low batting averages that if they get a hold of one, they can rake, but
Do damage,
they're
yeah.
gonna strike out a lot. So that's another reason why I don't think
Risk,
that
high
Chapman's.
reward, yeah.
What's that?
High risk, high reward, or high
Yeah.
risk, high reward. Yeah.
Because you don't get Soler for his defense. No, you're getting
No.
him to be your DH. And what's funny is that like the contract that they offered, I think it was Matt Chapman. They actually offered that contract to Jock Peterson, which I was like, why the fuck would you do that? Let that guy go. He was a lot of help. He was great, but it's time to move on from that guy. I'm sorry. But I mean, I think the Giants are on the right track to getting their team better. Obviously, they struck out with Otani. They struck out with Yamamoto. They struck out with everybody. So, but getting Soler and Chapman is going to help, but they still need to get pitching. And I think they really need to make a play to get Blake Snell, a 2-time Cy Young Award-winning pitcher. They need another ace next to Logan Webb.
Yeah, no, that would solidify, and that would actually bring a huge element to the front of the rotation. You look at who they have right now, Liam Hendricks, who they just brought in, who are contemplating making a starting pitcher. You have Harrison, the rookie from last year, who's only going to get better, and you can argue right now who's going to be that second starter behind Webb. And right now, I think it's looking like Harrison is going to fill that spot.
Chapman did a great job at consistently pissing me off with his bat. Oh, well, at least he was consistent with that.
Yeah, there you go.
You're trading offense for defense, man.
Basically, that's what they're doing. Is that they're like, look,
yeah.
we want a better defender.
If you bring in Snell, he immediately solidifies the second spot. Then you're looking at potentially Logan Webb, Blake Snell, Kyle Harrison, Alex Cobb, and then potentially Liam Hendricks, which isn't the worst rotation at all by any means.
Yeah,
if you bring in Snell, that's just going to solidify that front end of that rotation.
But at the same time, though, it's like you're not going to get Cobb back until after the All-Star break. You're not going to get. You're hopefully going to get what's his face from the Blue Jays after the All-Star break, former Cy Young winner. But I mean, that's not going to be until after the All-Star break. So you have some pitchers that are waiting in the wings to help you out in the second half of the season. Hicks is a guy that can throw 100 miles an hour. He's got an electric arm. He's not been a starter at the major league level, but he's going to be here with the Giants. He's better suited to be like your setup man for Doval. Because Camilo Doval has proven to be a lights out closer, and I can't wait to see more of him this year.
That guy is incredible, man. He's so talented. He throws over 100 miles an hour. Looking at his stats right now, he held batters to a 209 batting average last year.
Well, and we got a Robbie
87
Ray.
Ks.
Robbie Ray.
Yeah, Robbie Ray's the guy. Robbie Ray won't be back till after the All-Star break, but still, if he's healthy enough to go, I mean, now you're talking about. So let's say you sign like a Blake Snell. So now you have Logan Webb, or I guess you would say Blake Snell, whatever. Blake Snell, Logan Webb, Kyle Harrison, and then you can have Robbie Ray, Cobb, and then if you still have Hicks in there, then he's your other starter.
You can kind of sprinkle him in there. Yeah. If anybody goes down, I think you give him the opportunity to start. That's kind of what you told him when you brought him in, is that you would give him an opportunity to maybe become a starting pitcher. But then if it doesn't work out, I mean, he knows how to operate in the bullpen. So I think there's going to be definitely a opportunity for him to either work his way into the starting rotation or be a solid piece in the bullpen.
I mean, but Hicks is a guy that you never know. He might be a guy that comes in and he just fucking lights out.
Yeah, he's a burner. I mean, he clocked in last year a few times at 103, so the guy throws absolute gas. More suited for a setup closer type pitcher, but I mean, if he's got the stamina to work himself into the rotation, I don't see why you don't give him an opportunity.
And then Tristan Beck went down. Now he's on the 60-day DL. You still got guys like Ryan Walker. You got both the Rogers brothers. They actually brought in another guy. He's on the isn't showing the depth chart, but and then you got guys like Pablo Sandoval who could play third. He could play first.
Mhm.
If you want to say he can play catcher, he can.
He can DH.
Hey, you got Joey
DH.
Bart still.
Joey Bart. Okay, so that's another guy too. Is Joey Bart is all out of options. So, do you make him your backup catcher? I think right now he's got a chance to make the team because Blake Sable just got hurt,
I
and
think.
so with go ahead.
Didn't we signed a backup catcher from the Mariners when we traded away. I can't remember his name at the moment.
Yeah, his name is
got a backup catcher.
Tom Murphy.
Yeah, well, he was rated.
Tom Murphy.
He was rated pretty high as a for one of the backup catchers in the league last year. There was a reason why the Giants went out and got him, but I think the writing's on the wall for Bart. I think he's we know what he is. We know who he is. I think he's had his opportunities. He's had his chances to prove that he can play at this level, and it just hasn't materialized. I think it's time to move on from Joey Bart, to be honest.
Yeah, he would have to have a stellar spring training for them to be like, hey, let's keep this guy around.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just don't see. He's out of options. He's out of opportunities. I think.
Well,
he would have to earn it in spring training. He would have to earn it. That's what it comes down to. Because obviously the Giants got some depth as well at catcher, so he's not going to beat out Bailey. No,
he's not.
Just for backup.
They brought in Murphy to be the backup. They signed him. I think a veteran minimum for catcher.
Oh, look, he's not even listed. I thought Joey Bart was listed.
He's not because he wasn't on the team. Blake Sable went down, so he might find a spot right there with Blake Sable down. I think he has a groin injury, Blake Sable, which I like him a lot. He plays every position.
He's great. I like his bat.
But then when you look at first base, even third base for that matter, you're pretty fat. I mean, you got Chapman, you got JD Davis. This is third base. Then you have Sandoval, Wilmer Flores, Tyler Fitzgerald, not going to make a team. Casey Schmidt, I want him to make a team.
Man,
and then
I love Wilmer Flores, man. That guy, he's such a good bat, dude. He's a good defender, too, man.
He's one of the most consistent offensive players for the Giants last year. That guy pretty much he was carrying the offense for a little bit at some points with all the injuries.
Yeah, he was, yeah.
We got a question here from Bill's Bunker saying, what Niners players would hit the best dingers? Kittle? I would say Debo. He's more compact.
Yeah, Debo.
He's got bigger legs.
Oh, fuck it. Maybe even Brock.
I know. Who knows, right?
I'm sure Bosa could tag one.
Yeah, I think, Nick Bosa, definitely. But Wilmer Flores has always been a good Giant. But you look how thick you are when it comes to first base and third base. I think JD Davis is the odd man out. If you keep Sandoval, then you're getting him at a very low price. They're probably going to try to trade JD Davis, which I think he does have some value. But when it comes to Joey Bart, I don't see a lot of teams willing to give up anything for that guy. And a lot of teams can read the writing on the wall. They're going to say, all right, well, they're just going to cut him. And I'll wait for him to get cut, and maybe I'll put a waiver claim on him, and that'll be it. And hopefully, if he does get cut, hopefully he finds a spot somewhere else. But if he stays on this team and plays for Blake Sable, you won't see him on the field very often at all. Guys, we have 30 people watching right now. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by becoming a member or joining us over on Patreon. And I do think and appreciate everyone who's watching right now. Big 30 people are watching, and you guys are awesome. So,
hell yeah.
The other thing too, when you talk about the Giants, is when you look at the lineup, right? Okay, so he's out the 60-day. Alex Cobb is out. I remember they were talking about the other day that he won't be back till the All-Star break probably. Jordan Hicks is going to be really good. I think he's going to surprise a lot of people coming, starting. But then you got Keaton Wynn, and I'm like, dude, come on, like. I get Webb, obviously. I get Kyle Harrison, but now you're going to go with Keaton Wynn, Jordan Hicks, and somebody else. You got to get another pitcher in there.
Yeah, yes.
If you want a shot to do anything, you got to get either Montgomery or Blake Snell. Yeah, you got to get one of these guys.
Yeah.
If you bring in just like, a fucking mom and pop's pitcher, it's not going to get it done. You have to get somebody in here that's going to make a difference. And so I think Blake Snell is the guy that I want them
he's
to
the
get.
he's the missing piece to completing this off season for the Giants.
But I mean, like a lot of reports are saying that he wants like a 10-year or not 10-year. He wants like a long-term deal, like a 6-year contract, 7-year contract, over $100 million, right? And the guy's a 2-time Cy Young award. He just won Cy Young last year, so he's just like, yo, I have value, right? I know the Giants are probably trying to wait for his price to come down a bit, but I don't know how much more it's going to come down, if at all.
The Giants got to swing and get some firepower like that. I mean, the guy had a 2.25 ERA with 235 strikeouts, tied for third.
No, what
was his record last year?
Difference maker.
He was 14-9.
14-9 on the Padres.
Yeah,
and they sucked.
Yeah,
that was the most dysfunctional team in Major League Baseball, loaded with talent. It's terrible.
Yeah.
I mean, the guy's fucking lights. He's lights out. So if you put him with Logan Webb, imagine that. Logan Webb, or you have Blake Snell, Logan Webb.
Dodgers, great record against the Dodgers too.
That's the thing too, is that if you're going to go against teams like the Dodgers, even the Padres for that matter, you got to have pitchers that can shut them down to take pressure off of this offense.
Yeah, you're not going to outscore them at all. You need the pitching. Pitching's the only thing that's going to be able to combat a lineup of that caliber. And not only the Dodgers, you got to worry about the Padres, the Braves, all these stacked lineups that the Diamondbacks. I mean, there's going to be a lot of tough lineups to go through, and the only way to combat that is pitching. You got to get somebody else to support Logan Webb, to protect Logan Webb at the top of the rotation, and to eat up innings. Our team's going to eat up the rotation needs to eat up innings this year.
Yeah, if they're getting knocked out by the fifth.
The best bullpens in the first half of the season, they ended up being one of the
Dude,
worst.
how many games you saw that?
Because they were gassed. The starters are going to have to eat up innings this year.
And they knew that too. I remember watching the games. They kept saying, using a lot of the bullpen, the starting pitching has to come around, and then they never really did, except for Logan Webb.
And then all the spots starting that Gabe Kapler was running and stuff like that.
I'm so sick of the starters. I'm sorry, the openers. I'm sick of that.
Not only that, not being able, any of these starting pitchers the Giants had, not being able to trust Gabe Kapler's word, telling them that they were going to, start, extending innings as far as starters. When Alex Wood came back, he was telling them a lot of things, and he was pretty much backing out of everything he said. A lot of the starting pitching were not happy with the way Gabe Kapler was running the staff at certain points. So this has to be a different mindset this year. Again, they have to be able to eat up innings, or our bullpen's not going to last.
Exactly. And even here, this was just a few days ago. Let me share this one right here. So this talks about Alex Cobb. He's actually going to come back sooner than expected. They're saying that he underwent surgery on his hip in October. I mean, he's 36 years old. Yes, he's going to heal a little slower than like a 26-year-old. But the veteran, he started flat ground throwing in January. At which point he believed he'd be back before the All-Star break. So we're looking like in July, June. So we got to make it to the first couple months or so without him. So there you go. I mean, there's a little bit of some good news, I guess.
Yeah, for sure.
No, that's definitely you want to see him. You want to hopefully see Robbie Ray come back before the All-Star break too. That would be such a huge boost.
Well, and this is huge too, that Alex Pavlovich reports that they haven't put him on the 60-day DL, and that's why I noticed looking at the depth chart. Once you're on the 60-day DL, that means you're going to be out for a while. But they haven't done that yet, which means that he may be getting 7-day DLs, or you know what I mean, or 15-day DLs, kind of like
they anticipated.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah,
and that's a great sign for the Giants, because I mean they're going to need all the help they can get.
That's huge.
For sure.
But overall, though, look, they got to get a pitcher. They got to get Blake Snell. They need another ace on this rotation if they're going to have a chance to stay in these games, especially with teams like the Dodgers. Holy fuck. You're going against a fucking all-star team.
Let's think about this upcoming year, too. You get somebody like Blake Snell to solidify the front rotation. You're winning games in the first half. You're coming up to the All-Star break. You want to make a run. Now we look attractive. Now we look like we want to bring in somebody to take us to over the top, get us into the dance, and hopefully make a run at it. We saw what the Diamondbacks did last year, a very young team. You see the Giants making all these adjustments to stay competitive. So maybe these smaller signings are just a prelude to what they could be doing in the next year, upcoming trade deadline. So I think it makes sense. But maybe you just need that one extra piece before the season starts to really make a run at it to the All-Star break. And then hopefully maybe you get somebody, as you're heading down the stretch. So I think the Giants are definitely headed in the right direction. That's for sure.
And to answer this question for Bill's Bunker, no. Not unless the Dodgers
It's
implode.
going to be a wild card berth or something there.
Yeah, Ohtani, tears his ACL.
Yeah,
Mookie Betts, gets arrested, or it has to be a huge collapse.
Cheater mode.
Yeah. I think the Dodgers are getting Bueller back this year too. It's like
hopefully that marriage.
That guy.
Hopefully that Ohtani marriage is a huge
Walker
distraction.
Bueller, Jesus. We got one more question here. It says you can only keep one. Who is it? Montana, Bonds? Oh, he's going multi-sports. Rice or Mays? Holy fuck!
Wow.
Keep one for what?
You can only keep one.
Just one in general.
Just I guess just for that Bay
For
Area legend.
I would go with Joe Montana.
Yeah.
Oh, Joe Montana for sure. Yep.
Mays is there. Mays is right up there, but I think you got.
I would say Mays is right up there too, but
Jerry
at,
Rice.
at least Jerry Rice.
I got Willie Mays right here and Willie Mays
right here.
Yeah, Bonds is fourth on the list because we all know why Bonds is fourth on the list.
And then unfortunately Rice did go to the Raiders.
Yep.
Yeah, but he went there. What happened?
Montana went to
Super Bowl
the
and got their ass
Chiefs.
kicked.
Chiefs. Now we can't.
He did, but that's all right. That's all right.
Now we
He
can't
didn't do anything.
The Chiefs.
Yeah, he didn't win anything. That's fine. It's fine.
That's fine.
Everything's fine.
That's true.
Everything is good.
Everything's good. It's all kosher.
Montana,
guys,
baby.
We got 31 people watching. Make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on Nicotina, subscribe to that channel. If you're watching on Dre Area Sports, subscribe to that channel. If you're watching on X, which we have a large number watching on X right now, make sure you click on my my link to my Twitter page, and you'll see the link to my channel, and subscribe there as well. I appreciate everyone who's watching. We're up to 33 right now, 27 of which are on X, formerly known as Twitter. So I think everyone who's watching and participating in the comments and the questions, you guys rock, man.
Appreciate you guys.
Sure, bring it on. Come on.
That's it, man. But other than that, look, when we talk about the Giants, but when it comes to the Niners, I really want to see what happens this Monday when free agency starts. Yeah. I want to see what they do. I think they're going to be somebody that's going to make a play very early in free agency. I don't think they're going to wait very long at all. I think they know exactly who they want to get, and they're going to go after them immediately.
Yeah, no, it kind of goes along to the whole decision to kind of get the defensive coordinator decision wrapped up too. They want to stay ahead of the game. They want to know what they're looking at going into next season. I think they want to be ahead of everybody. And absolutely. This Super Bowl window is still open. They know that. We know that.
Absolutely it is.
The league knows that. So I think it's about exactly what you said, Andre. You make it happen early, and you hit the ground running. You start preparing for next season, and you start trying to figure out how you're going to beat the damn Chiefs.
I mean, to be honest, like a lot of these players that are here for a while, like Deebo Samuel or like George Kittle, Fred Warner. I think a lot of these guys are going to be accepting of like a restructuring to free up more cap space to bring in more players because they know that their window is closing, and so they're like, let's do it. Let's go all in.
Opportunity. They're in their prime. This is the best opportunity they have to win a Super Bowl. You're not going to have this many chances. You got to make it happen now. You never know what's going to happen in the future. You don't know what injuries are going to do. You got to make it happen now. The time now is to strike, and make some noise.
And I would say the Niners have been smart in recent years with their free agent signings. That they've gotten some impact players, right?
Yeah.
So I expect to see a splash. That the Niners come out hard, and you're going to see something big happen.
Yeah, it's been because of the flexibility, the way they're able to negotiate, the way the veteran players are able to take some pay cuts because they understand what's at stake. So I think, like Andre said, you're going to see a lot more of that continue, and we're going to be able to make a key move that's going to get us over the top.
I think so. With that being said, guys, I want to thank everyone who came out today. I want to thank let me go to the comments here. I want to thank Bill's Bunker for being for chiming with hella comments. Niner for life. Thank you as well. Axel Droga, David, Felix Orozco, all you guys kick ass, and thank you for
appreciate you, everyone watching us. Thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you for hosting as always.
Of course. And guys, if you haven't done so yet, make sure you smash the like button and subscribe to the channel. If you're watching on X, click on my my logo. I'll take you to my Twitter page, and the link is right there in under my description, and you can subscribe to the channel right there. If you want to support the channel, you can do so by becoming a member by pushing on the link down below, or you can join us on Patreon to help support the channel. Dre, Daniel, I don't know where the hell he went. I want to thank both of you.
He dipped out really quick. No,
I know, at the worst fucking time too. But
you want it to end, so
I know, shit. He really fucked us up. Like as soon as he left, I was like, "Oh my god!"
There he is.
Okay, sorry.
Hey, he's back. He's back.
He's back. He's back to say goodbye.
He's back to say
Damn.
goodbye.
My AirPods just like disconnected. Like I started hearing the intro to the show. I don't know what was going on there.
That was
I was playing in the background.
Okay, so it was just all muffled. My bad.
You're good. You're good.
All right. Big shout out to everyone who's watching right now. Make sure you like and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you again probably this Sunday coming up. And we're going to talk about free agency. We're going to talk about Niners, Giants, maybe even the Warriors too. And, and about those shitty Lakers.
Looking forward to that. We'll talk
all right.
Have to.
Niners,
all right, guys.
Warriors blew out the Bucks. Yeah,
they did. Fuck those Bucks.
Yeah, man.
Fuck the Bucks.
Fuck the Bucks.
The Buck stops here.
The Buck stops here.
So cliche.
But I'm looking forward to another season of Niner football. I want to see more of this.
Yeah,
this is what I want to see more of.
That's our boy. That's our boy
right there, man.
Yeah, man.
That's him. All right, guys. We'll see you guys next time.
I appreciate you.
Peace.